I've got 99 books to read, and the three-body problem ain't one. Because I finished it. That's right, I'm starting this out with the lamest joke I could think of. Let's read The Three-Body Problem by Liu Cixin. Blogs, book publishers, and reviewers have been hyping this book for over a year now, so naturally the science fiction community is a little buzzed about it. Fortune bless me, I was able to get an advance copy from NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. The Three-Body Problem by Liu Cixin is a best-selling science fiction novel from China. The English translation was announced in July of 2013, so having to wait until November of 2014 has been, well, a wait. This book is getting a lot of attention and hype because it's not something that Western markets are regularly exposed to. The hope being that this will pave the way for more unique and original fiction to be published. Wang Mao is a researcher for a team developing nanomaterials. One day, the police show up at his door and drag him off to a meeting of politicians, military, and scientists. Turns out a connected group of physicists have been committing suicide, and they've been leaving cryptic notes that suggest that the laws of physics don't exist. Investigating these circumstances leads them to a website called Three-Body, a virtual reality simulation that depicts the Earth in a solar system with 3 suns. The natural orbit of these stars makes for unpredictable periods of chaos and stability. Trying to predict the order of these fluctuating periods is the reason why everyone is playing the game. As Wang plays the game, he's exposed to a bizarro history of mathematics, physics, and modern computing. A bunch of other historical figures show up to teach a lesson or to discuss problems with the players of Three-Body. There's also first contact with an alien race, a kind old woman who recollects her experiences with radio telescopes in the 70s, and a nihilistic quasi-religious group who embrace the extinction of mankind as a generally favorable thing. It's Sophie's World meets Civilization meets Independence Day meets Contact. And as I think about it, there's also a hint of Michael Crichton in there as well. I know I'm mixing mediums, but that's the best description I can come up with. The Three-Body Problem does an excellent job of making characters feel like average people caught up in terrifying circumstances. And it works. Scientists, government officials, and characters feel grounded, and a reckless plainclothes police detective named Shi Qiang brings a lot of humor and craziness into the mix. While we see the story through the eyes of only a few characters, it's really more about humanity as a whole, and how we're likely to deal with the concept of first contact with an alien civilization. There are some aspects of Chinese culture, and some research may be required to understand everything that it's referring to, but generally the book fills you in. In interviews, Ken Liu has stated that this is deliberate, as he didn't want to dilute the Chinese mode of storytelling in exchange for the familiarity and convenience of an English one. And I have to send my praise. Ken Liu has done an amazing job of the translation. And while I don't know how much things have changed or how it compares to the original untranslated work, it doesn't read like some translations I've read in the past, and you can tell that a lot of love went into this. The language here is incredibly fluid and wonderful, and it creates an amazingly realistic portrayal of the world. Be aware that this is a very smart book. Later chapters cover some really advanced mathematical concepts, and when talking to some people, I've also been told quantum entanglement. If you want a decent primer for what the Three-Body Problem might give you, I'd recommend reading Flatland first. And if somehow you can comprehend everything that the book is talking about, you probably have a degree in physics or something at a prestigious university and are way smarter than the rest of us. Some of it makes sense, but I honestly had a hard time with it. Now onwards to that wonderful land of enlightened foreshadowing. Let's talk about the spoilery bits. So there's this one part where they need to obtain a bunch of information off of a hard drive that's on like an oil tanker. They wanted to send a SWAT team, but a SWAT team might alert people and they might destroy the hard drive before they get onto the boat. So they take this nanofilament wire and stretch it between the Panama Canal so when the boat runs through it, it slices the boat, cuts people in half, and well, it slices the boat up and everything sinks. I had a huge problem with that part because as easy as it would be to slice through the boat, all this stuff would sink to the bottom and they have to like collect all this debris and just hope that there's a hard drive in there that survives the sinking. I think that'd be a lot to ask. So with the aliens that are making first contact, I didn't talk about that in the review and I feel bad, but I didn't want to like ruin that bit. But the Trisolarans, I was surprised they were able to communicate so much to the people of Earth and have this cult following that is organized enough to be like, yeah, when they arrive, we'll totally accept wiping ourselves off the face of the map. That'll be cool. Ultimately, I felt that story was a little convoluted as to how these people were indoctrinated and that philosophy came about. And truthfully, I don't think anybody would take the time to make that kind of video game about it. The video game being 3-body, but I also, video games have been made about weirder, stranger things, so what do I know? Everything was okay up until it showed you things from the aliens' point of view, and then things got trippy, which is why I would recommend reading Flatland, because the mathematics, their biology, the dimensions that they end up folding, weird eyeballs. There are eyeballs on the side of my face. So yeah, long story short, the part where they really lost me was the giant floating eyeballs. Supposedly scientifically that makes sense, but I don't know if they would be able to have this technology to do this weird stuff that happens and perfect it so quickly. They do it in a very short amount of time, and I'm thinking there'd be a lot more research or testing they'd have to do in order to make this dimension folding particle thing feasible. And there's that one moment, and you know the moment I'm talking about, that weird spoilery moment, and this is super spoilery, so if you haven't read the book and you're still here anyway, ignore this. Double clicky to Skippy. So there's this moment when UNG, this old lady, this old kindly lady, reveals herself to be the mustache evil villain. It's like, really? Really? And at the same meeting where UNG is revealed to be the villain, a big SWAT team comes in. This situation escalates crazy. Like, there's a bomb. Oh wait, no, there's a bunch of bombs. The statue that's been sitting in this meeting the whole time, one of them is a nuclear bomb. And it's like this Mexican standoff. One person's got a bomb, everyone else has guns. They're all pointed at each other. And they say, wait a minute. You need to prove that it's a bomb first. So they have a SWAT team guy come over, and in fact, everyone is just super cordial about the whole bomb checking thing, and it diffuses the tension rather than the bomb. And he's like, yeah, but it's a bomb, and everyone goes, okay, we should be really panicked then, and it's back on. Like, well, if a SWAT team shows up. Anyways, spoilers out. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the 3-body problem. It's a difficult story to talk about because there's so many things that rely on them being revealed as you read the story. Generally, I thought it was okay. Loved the characters, loved the setup to it all. Wasn't perfect, had a few problems with some of it and was confused in places, but it's an interesting novel nonetheless, and I'm glad that it's finally here because I was getting really sick of waiting for this book to be published. What a wait, holy cow. And if you guys want to talk about it, let me know. I am down to talk about this book. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful reading week. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye!